He'll forever be making crap decisions, won't he? Well, from next season, the FA Cup is going to lose its sparkle once and for all. And this is why the Premier League and the FA have decided the following today, that all rounds of the Emirates FA Cup will now be played on weekends. Now, to be honest, that makes sense. I'm quite happy with that. The fourth, fifth, and the quarterfinals will be exclusive of Premier League fixtures for the first time. Now, I'll come back to this one because I think this is an absolute disgrace. And I'm sure most sane football fans will think exactly the same as what I'm thinking as well. The competition will be played without replays from the first round onwards. We'll come back to that as well. And the Premier League will provide up to an additional 33 million for grassroots football on top of the 100 million it currently gives to good causes each season. It's not enough, really. It's not enough, really, when you think exactly how much the Premier League actually gets. So, of course, the Premier League is where everybody wants to be. They want to all be in the top flight. Now, the thing is that grassroots football is so important. We have got a pyramid in this country, and this is for all our American viewers who might not really understand promotion and relegation, because, of course, it doesn't happen in the MLS or NFL or NHL or any of your sports. But in the Premier League, there is three teams, of course, which are relegated and three teams which are promoted. Now, the good thing of this is that it keeps the competition healthy and alive. And this is something that it feels like the fabric of football, needs. That's what makes us so good. That's what makes other leagues across Europe so good. The Bundesliga, Liga, Serie A. There is always that pipe dream that the side could go on an amazing run and get themselves promoted, akin to Wimbledon. So, of course, Wimbledon were a side who were non-league and then got promoted into the Football League and managed to climb their way up to the top flight, where they spent, a long, long time, known famously as the Crazy Gang. But stories like that aren't going to happen if we don't look after our pyramid. Now, you might be thinking, well, Craig, this is a cup. Why am I talking about the pyramid here? Well, it's still important. Like I say, 133 million is not enough when you compare what the Premier League actually have coming into their coffers. It's not just Sky Sports or, TNT Sports or, Amazon. It is a lot more. Premier League football is watched around the globe, in the Far East, in the Middle East, in the US. It is a global brand, and therefore it is worth billions. Now, 133 million, you might think, well, that's a lot of money. It really isn't, because you think how many clubs that has to be shared between. You think, how many clubs are in danger. We've seen Torquay United go into administration. We've seen issues at Scunthorpe United, Rochdale, Oldham, Reading, Wigan Athletic, Derby County, Sheffield Wednesday. Now, all these teams are important to football and the fabric of the game. I was actually doing a bit of a study the other day, and almost half of the teams in the Football League have been in some sort of financial difficulty in the past. And that's because the riches are going to the very, very top of the game. Now, again, you might be saying, well, why am I going on about this? Again, it's a cup competition. But a cup competition only works if you have those teams in it. And of course, there will also be non-league sides who, like the likes of Horsham, the likes of Eastleigh, who go on runs. We've seen Farnborough in the past go on runs, Bracknell Town, and many others. Of course, going back to those dark days, Blythe Spartans beat us in a replay. And this is where I'm going to now. Now, the thing is if replays are scrapped, it stops that competition of taking a bigger club, back to your home patch. Now, taking a club back to your home patch will have increased revenue. Now, say for example, a non-league side who can't really fill out their ground, draw a decent sized side. Well, take for example ourselves. They managed to get a draw at Dean Court. Now it's just going to go into extra time. And this is what I didn't like about our game against Leicester City. That after 90 minutes, we didn't go back to the King Power, which is what should have happened. And instead, we played extra time on our own patch. And yes, that might have been favourable for ourselves, although it didn't work out that way in the end, as Leicester did go through. But at the same time, Leicester should have had the ability to take us back to the King Power Stadium and play us on their own turf. They should have been able to get the revenue for that as well. Now, Leicester, of course, decent sized club. I'm sure that they're not too worried. But if you say the likes of Blythe Spartans, or Bracknell Town, or Wimborne Town, or Maidenhead United, or Dorking Wanderers, those sides are going to be definitely very, very bothered about their loss in revenue by taking a Premier League side back to their home patch. Maidstone United, for example. Now, if that had ended in a draw, it would have been great to take Ipswich to a replay. Of course, they did beat Ipswich in the end, but that's the whole point of this: is that it's it devalues the whole competition. Also, the other big thing as well is that it seems to be making accommodations for the Premier League. It's going to be played on weekends, which there is no Premier League fixtures. Now, why is that, do you think? Well, I'll tell you why it is. It's that man again. He screwed it up. Richard Masters obviously does want, you know, the top teams to be fresh for, their Premier League games. Now, that's all well and good. But at the same time, we should not be bending the rules to the top teams. Now, if teams are struggling with the fixture pile up, that is why you've got squads. Now, of course, you know, it's going to take more out of you playing at the top level of the game, but at the same time, that shouldn't be a reason for these games to be played at weekends. And it shouldn't be weekends without Premier League fixtures. If a team like Manchester United or Man City get to that level round of this competition and have to play midweek, so be it. They have to do that for the Champions League anyway, which of course has gone to this really strange format. This whole competition has been devalued, and it's one of the best competitions globally. Now, another thing is that the actual FA Cup final will be a week before the penultimate round of fixtures in the Premier League. So the FA Cup final will be a week before. I'm sorry, but I get that. I don't get that. The FA Cup final was always, when I was growing up, the last fixture on the calendar. It was a proud moment. Watching those finals between Manchester United and Newcastle, Manchester United and Chelsea. Yes, okay, Manchester United won it a lot, but at the same time, it was a spectacle. Look at some of the teams that have got into the final. There's the famous one, Wimbledon. That team again that got from non-league up to the Premier League and then won the FA Cup before they were stolen from their home borough by somebody in Milton Keynes, again, purely for financial benefit. The FA Cup shouldn't be changed because of European competitions as well. If there's a fixture pile up, the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool and Chelsea and Arsenal and Man United and Spurs need to get bigger squads. That's all there is to it. I just feel that it's because the Champions League has expanded. That isn't an excuse. That is an excuse. And the FA chief, Mark Bullingham, shouldn't have been bending over for Richard Masters and saying, yes, you can change it. He should have been turning around and saying, no, this is an important competition in the fabric of the game. It's an important competition for sides should be getting European qualification, for reaching, the final, not just the winners. It should be a competition which is recognised, and it's going the way of, unfortunately, what is the EFL Cup or the Carabao Cup because of Premier League greed. And Richard Masters, has turned round and said this is enhancing the FA Cup. Well, Richard, let's put it this way. If you're a fan of a side who are non-league, let's go for example with Poole Town, and you draw a big club at home in the FA Cup. Let's take for example Manchester United. Your players play out of their skin for 90 minutes. Why should they not have the chance to go back to Old Trafford in midweek to actually beat Manchester United on their own patch? Why should they have to play another 30 minutes because it suits your agenda, suits your logic, and suits the big clubs, the money spinners, the cash cows, the Man Cities, the Chelseas of this world? Why not do something rather than just giving an extra 33 million, which is pennies really when shared out? Why not do something that actually helps the fabric of this game and resign from your position in the Premier League? But also, the FA have lots of big questions themselves. And I'm saying this from a Bournemouth fan, who used to have to go through rounds 1 and 2. We've never had to go through qualifying, thankfully, but there is teams out there that do. Poole Town need to, Wimbledon Town, Bracknell Town, Maidenhead United, Frome Town, all these teams that are fairly local. Yeovil, who of course were recently a Football League side and then were relegated out. And what a side who fairly recently played Manchester United in a cup game, albeit it was the EFL Cup. Why not look out for those sides, the FA? Why not look out for those sides, Mark? Let me know what you think. But the fabric of this game is being ruined by greed at the very top, by the likes of Richard Masters, who's already docked points off Everton and Forest, and is going to dock points off Leicester, and who knows who else. Maybe Aston Villa. At the end of the day, can't have teams gate crashing top six, can we now? The game is being ruined by those people at the top. And I hope this video, really reiterates the point of the fans. Let us know what you think below. Let us know if you are in solidarity with this or if you think this is a good idea. And let us know why you think this is a good idea. Because I'm pretty sure the majority of football fans won't agree with you.